And now for our feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. Find us on the JB and Goldwater app. You can download that into your phone. It's free, and you can watch and listen to our program daily in its entirety. And if you happen to miss something, you can always go back and watch and listen as well. If you are watching, to the right of the screen, that's me, JB. To the left of the screen, that is Darren Goldwater. And we are here until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And as we were yesterday and the day before that and every other day that we've ever done on this show, which has been over a year of them, we're pretty full with a lot of information to pass along to you. We'll be joined today by Cory McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Jackie Robinson Day in the big leagues. Also some rules changes we're going to talk to him about that we discussed yesterday in the Atlantic League, how those might translate into the big leagues, get his thoughts on that. We'll talk about the Braves, certainly, a no-no last night in baseball, and much more. We've got Mike Yuba with Watch Fox News in Columbia joining us at 1:05 today. We'll talk about Frank Martin. I was on that press conference this morning with Coach, and we're about to recap that here in just a moment. Also, Scott Glaze as well. The Heritage is being played down in Hilton Head. Scott will recap last week's Masters and talk about the first round and those thereafter just south of us down there in a beautiful part of the country, that Hilton Head, Beaufort area. Darren, Jamie, across all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater individually. Follow us as well at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. Our phone lines and our text lines, they are open. Go ahead. Send us whatever's on your mind. 843-321-8893. Hey, Darren.
So I love the fact that I get the MLB package, because last night for the Rodon no-hitter, not only was I watching it from well before the ninth when it was still a perfect game, but I had Benetti, I had Steve Stone, the White Sox broadcast, and I really hadn't tuned into Benetti on the White Sox very often. And you probably know a lot about Benetti. He's all over ESPN. But man, was that a good broadcast. And it was a fantastic end. The guy's career, I mean, was almost over with arm surgeries. He even said it in the post-game interview, to dominate, in his words, to dominate. It felt good to dominate like that. And going back to yesterday, two baseball guys like we are, it was fun to see something like that, even though he missed perfection by just a bit, but it was still fun.
An HBP glazed the foot of a batter in that ball game, or it would have been a perfect game, but it's not. It's the 307th all-time no-hitter in baseball history. 20 of them were performed in White Sox uniforms. Obviously, the latest by Carlos Rodon last night. A marvelously pitched game by him. As you mentioned, he's a really good story as well, and we certainly look forward to discussing that with Cory McCartney. Let's go ahead and get you caught up on what's going on out at the RBC Heritage down in Harbor Town Golf Links. Stewart Cink, another birdie, and he's done. He's in at 63 in the first round of the RBC Heritage here in 2021. He's got a 2-shot lead on the field. Matt Wallace is right there at 6 under. He is also in the clubhouse, but Cink just dropped that 3 in at 18, Darren. So now he's at 8 under today. Charles Howell III, Billy Horschel, Harold Varner III. If you're a third, You're actually playing pretty good golf today. They're all at 500. They're still on the course. Tom Hogue, Lucas Glover out of Clemson, of course, Kevin Streelman, Austin Cook, Michael Thompson. They are all at 4 under. Danny Lee, Charlie Hoffman, Brian Gay, and a host of others sit at 3 under. So that's what the top of the leaderboard looks like. Dustin Johnson, he's 2 under through 15. So we'll keep an eye certainly on DJs. Of course, he knows quite well. A lot of Palmetto State connections are actually out there playing this week. Russell Henley, he is on the course. He's through 1, and he's also 1 under. So a good start for him. The Gamecocks, Matt Neesmith, 1 under through 1. So really good stuff there. And we got Scott Glaze coming up at 1:30 today. We will keep you updated again on what is going down at Harbortown. But one of the great sporting events we have certainly in this state, Darren. This is the first of 3 PGA Tour events that are headed our way over the next couple of months. Obviously, the PGA Championships here next month, and then we've got another one that's going to be played in Ridgeland, South Carolina, which is replacing the RBC Canadian Open in June. So golf is full steam ahead in our neck of the woods, and we're going to keep you updated on that leaderboard. Have you seen anything, by the way, down there before we move on to Frank Martin that's caught your attention? 8 under is something special.
Yeah, that's something special. What I want to talk to Scott about is really DJ. I never considered him as a guy to keep an eye on in the Masters. I know lots of people did. I didn't. The putter hasn't been there for him, and he's well off the lead here in round 1. So kind of what's up with DJ is my first storyline that I'd like to get into.
Yeah, he's 2 under today. He's having a good round, but
solid. But there are lots of low numbers out there.
Oh yeah. There's there are low numbers out there, but he's had a good round. Hey, look, if you're Dustin Johnson and you're 2 or 3 under after the first round, 4 or 5 shots back, you're okay.
Yeah, he knows the course well, but he is not in good form right now.
He can hunt it if he hangs in there. So, all right,
get going.
he'll get going. But it's Thursday. It's like I remind you all the time with baseball. It's
fine. He has not been playing well. He hasn't been. That's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. But you can choose to doubt Dustin Johnson if you'd like.
Okay,
I'm not going to be that guy. DJ,
I would just like to understand.
You are doubting. It's exactly what you're doing.
Well, I want to understand where he slipped because he may be up there in the rankings in the world leaderboard, but he's not playing his best golf.
No, but my point is when he turns it on, he can turn it on, and it doesn't matter what's in front of him. He can go right through that.
Last week would have been a good time to turn it on.
Well,
that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. But he knows his course inside and out. We'll see how it goes. 2 under today through DJ. Currently 6 shots off the lead. Stuart Sink, wow, 63 in round 1. Stuart Sink now. I've always enjoyed watching him play, and I love his bald head too. He reminds me of our friend Josh Pate for whatever reason. An older Josh Pate.
A little bit.
Yeah. All right, Frank Martin met with the media today. This morning, as a matter of fact, it was a 9:00 press conference. It went for 78 minutes. He spoke for quite some time. And it was an emotional 78 minutes for Frank Martin as well. He was quite, I'm going to say the word defensive, but I'm sure there's better words out there of his resume, of his track record, of his program, of his relationships with his staff, with his kids, his players, previous, current, future, all of them. He was defensive of his record at South Carolina. A bunch of different things came up. Asked, as a matter of fact, a lot of different questions, about his tenure there, and basically how he would grade that. What went wrong? How's he feeling? Look, I'll say I had no intention, Darren, on asking one question. I just wanted to listen to Frank this morning. You didn't hear any of I've been listening to Frank Martin since day one at South Carolina. So have you. We've heard this guy talk a lot, and you said it halfway through the year. You knew there was something off, and so if you followed along with Frank over the years, you know him a little bit, right? I mean, you just kind of get to know him. There's a certain presence about him that is there when things are going good in Frank Martin land. I'm not talking about necessarily what the record is or anything like that. And it throughout the year just seemed off. There were a couple of times here and there. I think I might have mentioned them. hey, look, he seems a little bit better this week. He seems healthy. Today was as fiery as he's been by far. And he had a lot to say. He took full ownership of the season, full ownership. Said, we're going to fix the things that we did wrong. Matter of fact, he pointed to an exact moment, Darren, in that press conference when he felt like it went wrong.
Yep.
And he said they were in Houston, and they were up by 6 points in the second half, and things started to fall apart. And that's when he realized, wait a second, this needs fixing here. There's a lot of stuff that needs fixing on this roster. This team does. And then he asked the media, he said, do you know what happened the next day? And I think it might have been Colin Taylor that chimed in, or Mike Yuba, one of those guys. By the way, Mike will be here at 105. And he said, yeah, we got shut down, and we were shut down until December the 29th. They got their first practice in over 3 weeks. They only had 8 players. They played Texas A&M. They got shut down again, and they didn't have at least 10 players, basically a full roster, until the middle of January. And he wasn't. There are fans out there who are going to hear what I'm saying. They're going to read what anybody else who was on that PC today writes about or reports on, and they're going to look at this, and all they're going to want to hear, all they're going to hear, because they're in a negative state, is excuses, 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 excuses. And that's fine. It's fine. If that's what you want to think, that's fine. But there are also facts, Darren, that over about a 7-week span, his guys couldn't play or practice a whole lot. And he went deep into what he went through with COVID and things like that. And he knew. He said that this was we didn't prepare right, and we couldn't prepare right at that point in time. So he owned up to a lot of stuff. He did talk about his relationship with Ray Tanner, but I'll just say this: for 78 minutes, you didn't want to blink, and you didn't want to look away, because he had a lot to say today.
We've discussed many times that clearly COVID was an issue, particularly at the beginning stages of the season. I thought another telling thing, and I was not on there, I was following along, so I did not hear it myself. I was reading the comments. But I thought another telling thing was, as the team was getting down the stretch and the team was getting healthy, his health issues prevented him from being himself, and really this is me paraphrasing his words, that were someone else kind of paraphrasing his words, but he wasn't at his best in order to drive the guys the way that he would want to drive them. So you've got the COVID issue with the team and unable to fix the issue because you can't play. Then you've got the team back together again after a significant portion of time, and he's not at his best to push these guys the right way. And you know that there were other things that were going on in the background as well that that you're not going to hear about. And we talked about that as well. So are they excuses? No, they're facts. And he has a track record of being a good coach. We know that. Now the question is, can he turn it around? And the question is, what are the expectations for this year, and how long is the leash going into this year? Those are all very legitimate questions. We don't have the answers, because Ray Tanner isn't going to come out and say, you got to win 18, you got to win 20, you got to get to the tournament, here's my number. That's not going to happen. So you could sit there and say, well, what will the year be? What are the expectations? You don't know what those expectations are behind those closed doors, and what Martin needs to do this season coming up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think we can all. I mean, I think it's reasonable, Darren, to assume and expect that they probably need to find a way to make the tournament. I think that's reasonable, I mean, but we don't know. Like you said, right. We don't know. But it is reasonable if somebody says, well, if he doesn't make the tournament, they probably need to move in a direction. That's a reasonable thought. And I get that where fans say that. But we don't know what that looks like. Do they get hot and win the SEC tournament? Do they just have a great year and make it anyways? Do they not? We have no idea what any of this looks like. We didn't know what was going to come this past year. Everybody was expecting a really good year for South Carolina because of what they returned, and the whole thing flipped over on its head. So like you just said, we don't know, and we won't know until we see it, and until we see it in its complete form, and it is the season. Now, there seemingly is good news from Frank today. He actually expects both Keyshawn Bryant and Jermaine Couisnard to return to the Gamecocks roster, and he also expects Alonzo Frink back and fully healthy. Seventh Woods, by the way, the groin tear that he had detached from the bone. And now 7th Woods, according to Frank Martin, will not count against the scholarship limit. So if he chooses to return, he can. If he chooses not to, that's fine. But it don't look at 7th Woods as a member of the scholarship count, because he doesn't count because of the COVID year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking their time with him to figure out exactly what his future looks like with South Carolina. Got another transfer yesterday in James Reese. So that's 4. He actually addressed a lot of those today. He said that he wished that he would have he made a mistake by not offering James Reese and Chico Carter out of high school. Wish that he would have done it, and spoke in detail about them. So the roster seemingly is actually, for those that were like, are we even going to have enough players to play? Well, if you go back a couple of weeks, we talked about it. John Whittle talked about it. J.C. Sherbert talked about it. Wes Mitchell talked about it on our show, and I'm probably leaving out a name or two, but there were 5 or 6 different voices, at least on our show, and I know there were other places as well, saying, don't freak out about this. Yeah. Like, what you're seeing is, we don't know yet. There's guys, we're expecting a lot of the guys to leave. We're also expecting guys to put their names out there, and maybe some of them return. There's going to be transfers. Like, there are things that are, just because you don't know doesn't mean there's freak out time. So when you start to add these numbers up, I mean, Keyshawn, Frank, Kusnard, maybe 7th Woods, you got 4 transfers in, and then the big one still out there is AJ Lawson, because he already went through the draft process, Darren. If he decides to turn pro again, he can't withdraw. So if he turns pro, he's got to go. So He's really taking his time to make this decision. He could also return. So, seemingly the roster is almost complete now again, all within just a couple of weeks' time, basically. So I don't know that that's anything necessarily for folks to freak out about. I'll tell you one thing that he talked about today that I've always been a Frank guy. You know that. I would play for him if I was a basketball player. If he was a teacher, I'd want him to teach me. I respect him as a man. Some people out there might not. That's fine. It's okay. It's like, if your favorite color is blue, mine isn't. It's okay. But one of the things he said today, he was talking about social media, and he said it's disgusting. And he's right. Because there are just so many horrible things that go across social media. And I saw another one today right after this. There's a certain small group of people in this state who think that they're media members and things like that, and they just put out false stuff. And he talked a lot today on this press conference about doom and gloom, and what he was talking about was fans feel doom and gloom because he was actually calling out reporting. I'm not mentioning anybody by name or anything like that. That's none of my business. But he was talking about, hey, look, when things are bad around here, it's like, that's what we celebrate, but when things are good, it's really quiet. And then that's what the fans see. So obviously that's what they assume. And then there's other people today misreporting this as, well, he was talking about the fans. No, he wasn't. He wasn't at all. He was talking about the message that comes out of the program from time to time. And that's where he was referencing social media and how disgusting it can be, because that's not exactly what was said, obviously. So, he had a lot to say today. He was very animated. He was very passionate. We're never going to know the full details of what happened behind the scenes. Don't need to. Doesn't matter. He's a basketball coach, so you're either going to be in the boat or you're going to be out of it.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with when things are good, it's quiet. When things are bad, like the world's ending. I think it's the roller coaster of sports, right? I mean, when things aren't going well, the media isn't going to just prop up these fluff pieces. That won't happen.
No, sure.
But what you need to avoid is putting out false information and representing or presenting that information as fact. Because if you're putting it out as fact and it is false, that can become very, very problematic. I mean, then you're not doing your job at all at that point. You are doing a disservice, not just to the program, which your job isn't to serve the program and the media. You're doing a disservice to yourself and to whatever media you are representing. So, when things are good, you're getting the good stuff written. When things are bad things are getting written. It's just not, the negative stuff though just hits harder, because the good stuff you're not diving through social media. You don't need to see it. You know things are going well. When things are going bad, it's just like, here's another one, and it beats on you. Mm-hmm. And the way things have gone, I mean, this is a passionate fan base, and they're going to ride that roller coaster right along with it.
Yeah, I think too, Darren, kind of what I was referencing, and you know who I'm talking about, but there are people in this state, and by the way, let me clarify something here. One of the things that you, at least where we sit, and this isn't about us, I'm talking about the press conference, but just so folks know, not to misconstrue what I'm saying here, where you and I sit, we make sure that the people that join us are of high quality and character.
Yeah.
So we're not referencing anybody at all that comes on this program or ever will. But there are others who seem to think that they are some of the folks that we get a chance to talk to, or that were on that call today. And they put out a bunch of just bogus crap.
Yeah.
And it's junk. It's junk. And they've got a social media platforms. They can say whatever the hell they want to say for the most part. Right. And this junk spins around and flies out there, and it turns into just, just bogus material.
Yeah.
And
it's not unique to South Carolina either, right? I mean, it happens everywhere.
That's what I'm talking about. It happens everywhere. And and when he was referencing how disgusting social media is, I mean, you could literally say today is mine and my anniversary with my wife, Darren. And if which I don't know of anybody that doesn't like you because of the job that you do, but let's say you were coaching a team who somebody's a fan of, there's going to be people who respond to you on social media and say nasty things about you and your wife and your marriage. And you're like, why? Come say that in my face. And of course they won't do that. And that's where a lot of this has gone. And you know what I was getting out of a lot of that too, I kind of felt like he was trying to, in a interesting, different way, protect his kids. Because I think that, and I don't know this is what I think. I think that his kids had a lot weighed. They were already not playing well. They were having a bad year. We all know that. It was not a good basketball team. And I think that his kids, as hard as it is on the court and in that locker room, going through that as a team, having to go through it, and literally every other minute of your life, when you pick up your cell phone, basically, which is all part of our lives, and it's on your Twitter page or your Facebook page or your Instagram page or wherever it is, and you see these comments that people say about you and how terrible you are and you need to move on and how terrible your coach is and how much this program sucks. I think that was kind of Frank's way a little bit of trying to protect his kids. It won't work because people are going to do what they want to do, but I would totally understand that. They are kids. They're 18 to 22 years old, and we treat them like they're all freaking LeBron James, and I'm talking about, like you said, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he says things like that, I think that's part of it. Like, people say and do whatever they want to do, and I've got to worry about these guys. And when they're home at night laying in bed, just scrolling through their Twitter page, and they see 200 comments about how much they suck because they were 1 of 9 shooting that night, that we could all say we're mentally tough, but at some point in time, that does hurt people.
And that's part of a coach's job, particularly in college right now. That's part of your job, and your staff's job is to protect your kids to the best of your ability. There's a reason why there have been Twitter bans for various programs around the country over the years. It's not just to keep Twitter, to keep your athletes from saying something stupid or doing something stupid online. It is also to keep them from seeing stuff. It's and they'll still see it, but ideally, if you're not on there posting and retweeting stuff, and then hopefully you're not on there as much and you're not seeing as much. It's part of the coach's job right now in the culture that we're in to do your best to just throw up some type of a shield for your guys. You're a father figure in some ways.
Absolutely. It's amazing how it's changed, right? I mean, he was referencing today, this was one bad year in his 29 years of coaching. Never had a year like this. So his track record's been pretty good. But just think about how much that's changed. I mean, even going back to Kansas State or when he first started at South Carolina, like Twitter and all these things, they weren't as prevalent at all in our lives. I didn't even know what Twitter was until 2016. Yeah, literally. I didn't even know what Twitter was until 2016, dude, 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I had somebody that I was working with where I used to be. I was like, yeah, if you're going to be on the radio, you probably need to be on Twitter so you can get the news. I was like, oh, All right. And so that's what I did, and it's changed so much, and that's a difficult job, and he has a difficult job moving forward. We all know that. I personally appreciated what he had to say today. I personally appreciated what I felt like was honesty. I'm sure that some people will feel differently from me, and that's okay. That's fine. I thought when I was listening to him that he had a lot of fire in his belly, and at the end of the day, I don't really give a damn about what's happened before. I don't give a damn about what players have left and what players are coming and what transpired behind the scenes. I don't care about all that crap. What does matter for the program is how do you fix it?
Right.
Period. Like, if you want to get on Twitter and Facebook and Snapgram or whatever they are and bitch and moan back and forth about whether Frank Martin should or shouldn't be the coach, then you're putting yourself back a couple of years. I mean, you're in another world, because none of that conversation even matters. What does matter is how do you get better? And what I saw today was a hungry and irritated and flame-throwing Frank Martin. That's what I saw. And seemingly, at least in my eyes, that's a really good thing for the South Carolina basketball program.
One of the things that I did when I started seeing some of the comments about some of the recruits that they're bringing in and how he wished that maybe he went after them a little harder coming out of high school, offered some. I went back and read some of the articles when they had transferred into South Carolina and committed. Recent articles, obviously. The Stevenson one coming out of Washington was interesting. He was saying that, look, my numbers aren't what I know that they should be. I wasn't physically or mentally healthy at the time. And he, in his words, said that Martin is exactly the type of guy that he needs to be around, that style, to get him where he wants to go. Then there was A.J. Wilson, who's one of the all-time leading, I think he is the leading shot blocker in George Mason history.
Yeah.
And his perspective was about Bruce, who was, I guess he's known him for a while, and he's the one who reached out to him when he was in the transfer portal. But then he went into his style and how he loves playing defense and how he's evolved from just swatting the ball 80 rows up into the stands to understanding, my defense and my shot blocking ability can also key runs. And there's nothing better than having that lead to points for my team. So you put those guys into the system that Frank's trying to run, and the personalities that will clearly gel well on the surface, that looked good to me.
Yeah, I mean, and we all know what one of their main problems is. They got to be able to shoot.
Yeah,
and the Stevenson kid. But a quick note on him, by the way.
He just needs the block shots.
Who's that?
The Wilson.
Wilson. Yeah.
He doesn't need
just swat him out of there. Quick note on the Stevenson kid is Frank actually recruited him last year when he transferred from Wichita State, but he wanted to go closer to home, so he went to Washington, and obviously that didn't work out. So he's now going to come to South Carolina, and again, you pair that with seemingly Keyshawn Bryant, Jermaine Couisnard returning. We'll see about AJ Lawson. Frank will be back, which will be good down low. Boy, they needed him this year. So again, here's the thing, Darren, and I'm going to say this one last time. I know we got to go. So we got to get to Cory, but like there's going to be. I'm speaking about myself specifically, but there are going to be others out there. I believe that will say similar things to I. So I'm not unique in any way. That there should be, once again, if those guys return, expectations. There should be, because you've been around basketball your whole life. You've called a million basketball games. You don't have to return 10 players to have expectations. You generally have to return about 3 of them in college hoops to have expectations for your program to be pretty good, right? I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not missing the point.
Yeah, and then now with the transfer portal, the expectation is you're bringing these guys in because you know that they fit your system. The expectation of the transfers isn't that we're going to bring him in and he's going to play 5 minutes a game. The expectations are they're going to play, and those are fair expectations.
I agree with you. I agree. Well, Yes, I agree with you. Even though the portal with 2,000 names in it, there are going to be guys that transfer and they're not going to play there either because they just suck. But to your point, yes,
If you're giving a scholarship to one of those guys, it's your job to make sure that it's an important guy.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, but it's not all on coaches. I mean, some kids are just going to come in and not be that good. But yes, I mean, your point is spot on. But what I'm saying is, generally, when you return 3 or 4 guys to a roster who've played a lot in basketball, your expectations are high. So I'm having a difficult time thinking how in 2021, 2022, how that's going to be any different for South Carolina if you have Cousinard, Frink, Keyshawn, and potentially AJ Lawson back. There should still be some expectations, right? I mean, these guys have been starting forever. So
you want to see development, you certainly, because the consistency wasn't there this year for whatever reason. So you want them to be better than they were this year. Yes.
Yeah, but you do. Yeah. But I mean, what I'm trying to lay out here is these guys are returning. AJ Lawson has started for 4 years. Jermaine Cousinard has started for 2 years. Frink started for 1. Keyshawn has started for 2. You're almost returning a starting 5. Like, it's not like the cupboard is bare.
Right.
And you pointed out you're bringing in transfers who seemingly are going to plug and play somewhere. All of them are. And then and then you've got a freshman class coming in with this as well. And I don't know anything about those guys. We'll have to see what they look like. You don't ever know till they get there, no matter what coaches say. So, like, Frank Martin is probably looking at this roster going, look, we can still go win with this group of dudes I've got here.
He has to think that way. He has to think that way.
So for fans to think that, like, oh my God, we're gonna suck. I don't see it. I mean, could it happen again? Sure, of course it could. But, like, I don't think that's fair to assume that you're returning a bunch of dudes who've showed you that they can play. They got to play.
Right. And the problem with fans, it's very easy. What have you done for me lately? So it's easy to just think this year and we got the same guys back.
Right.
The development, right? And it all plays into it.
It all does. I'll tell you what else played. Hold on. One of 3 of my Chief albums came in today. So it's been on the old spinneroo over there. I have a record player and I get all the Chief records. My next one arrives tomorrow, by the way. Just as an FYI. So if I'm not on time at noon tomorrow, sorry about that. Because mail comes about 10 a.m. at my house. So all right, we got to hit break. It is buy one, get one half off foot-long cheesesteaks at DB's Cheesesteaks. So if you're in the Low Country and you're anywhere close to Avondale, or if you're in the Low Country and you have one of those delivery apps, they'll deliver it. Buy one, get one half off foot-longs at DB's Cheesesteaks today. They're the best in town. The buffalo chicken cheesesteak is my favorite, and it is unbelievable. I promise you. Don't forget the boardwalk fries at DB's. We don't want to forget about Cory McCartney, so we got to hit a break. We'll be right back.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every 2021 Tiguan, $3,500 off. Every 2021 Atlas, $5,300 off. Every new Volkswagen available with 0 down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump?
Strike 2.
If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, car lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save $5,300 on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with 0 down. Plus tax includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at McFadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about McFadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
Spring is officially here, and there's no better place to bring it in than the Dog and Duck. 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Park West, Bell Hall, and Clements Ferry Road, all of them with gorgeous outdoor seating to take advantage of their daily food and drink specials. Through the end of April, $5 Sweetwater pints. Food specials like Taco Tuesday and the Game Day Burger every Wednesday. It's all available at Dog and Duck. There are 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater Show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and awesome.
April 15th. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Happy Jackie Robinson Day, baseball fans. One of the great days in the sport every year, celebrating one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in this country. Happy Jackie Robinson Day, Cory McCartney.
Yeah, I got,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Sharp. Did you make
There
that?
you
Where'd
go.
you get that shirt?
Baseballism. So, my Fox days, they sponsored my show, and we always had to be outfitted in baseballism stuff. So I got about 80 baseballism shirts that they've given me over the years. So
Very cool. I love that.
yeah.
Sharp shirt right there.
It is a very sharp shirt. By the way, the Marlins and the Braves are playing right now. It is all knotted up late in the bottom of the first inning. So we'll keep our eyes on that. 4-8 are the Braves. The Marlins 5-6, of course, on the season. All right, but before we get there, the no-no last night for Carlos Rodon, White Sox win 8-0. Almost had a perfect game, but a little HBP there towards the end. Had they had the replay guy who was in the booth for the Braves game on Sunday night, they could have replayed that, and it would have been a perfect game, Corey.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, you could tell Rodon when he hit hit him on the foot, he was like, come on, can you at least try to get out of the way there? I think about that Abreu play to me was the night, right? I mean, I watched a lot of that game, kind of going forth between that and the Braves, and watching Abreu just make that dive at first to make the first out of that inning. I mean, it was or the second out of that inning. I mean, it was insane to think how big that moment was, and certainly for Carlos Rodon. I mean, you think about like what this guy went through and all the Tommy John, and being 2 years removed from that, and he said after the game, having those moments where you wonder if you're ever even going to make it back, and then having this no hitter and it coming within a week of Joe Musgrove making this historic one for the Padres. And they tweeted last night, you better have a hell of a story to throw a no hitter in 2021, because these two have certainly delivered on that end of it.
307 no-hitters in the history of baseball, 20 in a White Sox uniform. Let me ask both of you baseball historians this question. Does the name George Bradley ring a bell?
The
Live next
first
door to the Brady Bunch, right?
No. What, Darren?
I said the first no-hitter.
The very first no-hitter. Not too long ago, 1876.
That was a random guess, but
it's a nice guess. 1876. He actually threw 10 innings that night for his no-no. Had a hell of a year that year, by the way. Corey started 63 of the 64 games played, and he went 45-18 in those starts.
Well, I bet the pitch count was like 200 a game too. Back then they didn't believe in pitch counts back then.
No.
Baseball.
I wonder where the mound was back then.
Yeah, what do you think? 50 feet?
I don't know.
He pitched for the St. Louis Brown Stockings, though, just as an FYI. He actually pitched for 10 different teams in his career. So what do you think about that, Corey? You want to move the mound back 61, 65, 80 feet? What do you think?
I mean, we talked about this before, right? I mean, is this going to be a part of it? One thing I do think, and I've thought about this with these last two no hitters, is if we eventually get to a robo strike zone or robot umps or whatever nomenclature you want to use there, have we seen the last of no hitters once that happens? Because if you're not going to get a call on the border, how little of swing and miss are we going to see, or calls that the guys are just not going to swing at a pitch because they know their strike zone that much better. So that might be a byproduct of when we eventually get to that point. Is we may not see no hitters once we have a robotic strike zone.
Are you anticipating that? Is that a prediction by you?
I think it's inevitable, right? I mean, I think it's inevitable.
I disagree. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I disagree with the concept of that at all. I think it takes the art of catching totally out of the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Tyler, I've been in many conversations with Tyler Flowers about this when he was in a Braves, with the Braves, that, pitch framing was what he did. And he would talk to me about trying to position yourself where you would try to obscure the view of the umpire and try to, get that call. I talked to Jerry Davis, who MLB umpire more postseason games than anyone in history. Is actually going to get his 5,000th game this season. He'll only be the fourth guy to do that. We had a talk about this just 2 weeks ago. And he said, those guys that are trying to do that stuff. And, obviously you're telling them you're a little bit smarter and a little bit more knowledge of the strike zone than they do. But yeah, I think that's certainly going to be part of it too. I think those are two elements of baseball, the human element of the umpire and the ability to pitch frame and steal away strikes that are just going to be, pieces of the past once we start talking about a robotic strike zone.
I don't remember who it was last night. And I think it was right after the completion of the no-hitter, who pointed out maybe the most important outs of a no-hitter are the pitcher who's throwing the no-hitter, his team, going down quickly in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. You agree with that?
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Look, you want to give that guy as little time as possible to think about it. Yeah, you don't want to get him out of his rhythm. You obviously, it's not like anybody's trolling social media while they're sitting on the bench and knowing that people are talking about it. But obviously, we know everyone's leaving you alone on the bench. I think getting them out there and staying within rhythm is probably the biggest aspect, the biggest piece of all of it.
Never thought about that. That is that's very interesting. All right, so back to the mound thing. So August 3rd, the Atlantic League, Corey, it is the Atlantic League, right?
Yeah.
Darren? Okay. It's going to 61-6. So a foot back. Darren and I had a lengthy conversation about this yesterday. I mean, we'll see how it works out. There's one thing I don't like and one prediction I have that I don't like the fact that they're starting it in the middle of the year, Corey. I think that's awkward for arms. And I think that's going to really contribute to a debacle of baseball in that league. I think there's going to be a lot of walks. I think it's just going to take some getting used to. Games are going to be longer. I think they're trying to speed up games and they're going to be longer. It's the Atlantic League. I get it. But that's my prediction. And that is my, what was it? Whatever I said. What do you think about that?
I agree with you. And I think you're going to see more injuries. I think you're going to see guys trying to throw, you're going to have to overpower to get that, the same kind of, velocity that you did before. Guys are not going to have as much of a feel on their breaking stuff. They're just not, I mean, I think all those little elements of it are going to play into it. Obviously, we've seen stuff pop up in the lower levels that we're now seeing at the major league level. So we know Rob Manfred wants to, invigorate baseball a little bit from an offensive standpoint. So I think anything that you've seen at the minor league level these last couple of years, you got to remember there's a CBA coming up, negotiation this off season. So, I think it's going to be interesting how much of this stuff kind of gets pushed into the conversation because we know he has an agenda. And we've obviously we saw it the last couple nights, 2 of the last 3 nights with the Braves, extra innings, and you're seeing a runner on second base. We're seeing shortened double headers. We're all seeing Rob Manfred's impact on the pace of play or how the baseball itself is played. I wouldn't rule anything out as we look to another CBA negotiation.
It's a great point. These rules can't get implemented in the big leagues unless the players agree to it, right?
Yep.
What do the players think about Rob Manfred?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of hard to get a read on that. We, obviously with the setup this last year plus, you haven't been able to have a lot of those kind of, to the side conversations that you would normally have with people. The way it was before, you could go to a guy's locker and just kind of have those off the record conversations. But with everything being on Zoom, that just doesn't exist. Everything is literally on the record now. So I think it's made it that much more difficult to really, know how these guys feel about things. But I'm sure there's lots of players, lots of relief pitchers, that are watching these runs trickle in. Think about, the Braves losing these games in extra innings. If you're that guy that's starting things off and there's a runner on second base, I mean, how much of a mind game is that for you already? I'm sure relief pitchers hate it.
That's a good point.
I'm sure they are. I think this starting runners on second base is ruining the game. I think it's a joke, to be honest with you. Let me ask you about this what did we call this thing, Darren? Double
hook. The double hook. Yeah.
Let me ask you. Let's talk about the double hook, Corey. I actually think that there's some. I'm intrigued by this to be, and I'm an old school guy, man. You know, forget the robots and all that type stuff, but I'm intrigued by this, and for the sole reason, or a couple of reasons. One is I agree with you. I think DH is coming no matter what, whether we like it or not in both leagues. But the other is that it does provide strategy back into baseball, like real strategy, like how you manage a game type strategy, not just put your fastest player on second, let him run around and score and win the game in the bottom of the 11th. So, and what I mean by that is like, which I'm sure you already know all this, but you know, you have to. Your roster, you're going to build it right with a guy or two who can come in there and really pinch hit and things like that, because the DH is going to follow the starting pitcher out of the ball game. So anyways, my point, what do you think about this? Are you intrigued?
Yeah, I mean, I think it especially if you're a National League manager, and we know that that's going to be, you know, more than likely part of the equation next year. I think it gives them a leg up, right? They've been used to kind of operating in that guys anyways, where, you know, if you're going to pull a guy out in for a pinch hitter, and then all of a sudden you've got to, you know, the next inning go with, you know, with a different arm that then pulls that pitch hitter out, you've already kind of operated under those constraints. So I think it'll be a bit of a test for the American League managers. But, you know, I think with that, you know, you may need to consider extra guys on the roster. You know, I think you may need to have more available players. You know, if we're asking them to be tied together. So I think that's an interesting aspect of it. But you know, I think it definitely would play in the National League manager's favor with that question.
Darren, do you feel smart? Because we talked about that yesterday. Well, you're probably gonna have to expand the roster if you do this. That makes me feel smart. Corey said it.
And we talked about the managerial aspect and the, you know, bringing that part of the game into the game, because I'm not a guy who wants to see a universal DH, but at least this way, it's kind of a happy medium in a way. So here's the DH, but here comes the strategy late in the game. And yes, obviously, if that's going to be the case, then you probably need another body or two on the bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure American League managers are going to despise it. I mean, I think if you're the Yankees and, you know, Giancarlo Stanton's only job is to go out there and swing the bat 3 times, and now you've tied him to your starting pitcher. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know if it's going to mean more of a strain on starting pitchers because you're not going to want to lose that bat, or, you know, I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff that's certainly going to be, you know, I'll be interested to see how it plays out if it does come to be.
Cory McCartney in Atlanta. What about what would be a negative impact of this, Corey? The example that I could come up with yesterday was, especially in the big leagues, if you're trying to bring a guy along, you know, you want to throw him 50 or 60 pitches, 70 pitches maybe. And then you have to deal with this in addition to that. That's not going to make people happy in either league.
No, I mean, think about Max Fried a couple nights ago, right? I mean, you know, he looks horrendous. You know, you got to, you know, he doesn't go nearly as far as, you know, we've seen him go in the past. I mean, he had a 2-inning start this year, and now you've got, let's say, Marcell Ozuna's tied to him. Now Marcell Ozuna's out of the game because Max Fried doesn't have it that night. I think those are, you know, that's the other side of it too. We want to talk about, okay, you can lose that big bat, but what happens if your pitcher just is out of sorts? How are you going? You know, what's the compromise?
Very interesting. Yeah, I don't like it anymore. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this.
It changes. It'll also change the position, if you want to call it that, of the designated hitter because of that. Right? I mean, do you want the guy do you want your biggest bat right there? Is that what you want, or do you want another guy? You know, how do you want to utilize the DH, understanding that at some point he's coming out of the game? It changes a lot of the mental aspect.
Yeah, and we've long talked about, okay, you think about Josh Donaldson not signing with the Braves. He goes with the Twins. There's American League. There's designated hitter. He gets additional years. You know, the Braves were out on him because they just didn't want to have a guy stick around all that long. But if there's a designated hitter in the NL long term, maybe you look at a guy like that longer. Well, do you, if you know you're not going to get the versatility out of him, does it become more of, you know, you need to have guys who can do multiple things for you as opposed to just having a guy that you're expecting to get a few bats that may not last nearly that long. So yeah, I think it's a wild tweak, and I'm sure that, you know, there's 15 managers who would probably throw a fit right now if you start bringing it up anymore.
All right, let's get to the Braves. They're being no hit currently in the second inning. They are down 2-0 now. All of a sudden to Miami again, 5-6. By the way, the Marlins 4-1 outside of Miami. So Braves need to get it going here soon. Ian Anderson is on the mound. He does have 3 strikeouts, but he's also given up a couple runs. Braves went 1-2-3 in the top of the first, and I mentioned that because Ronald Acuna Jr. struck out, which has been rare these days. Freddie right behind him, and then Ozuna. But let's start with Acuna. He has been the most consistent guy. I know Freddie has started to get going over the last few games, but Acuna has been the dude, and he looks like an all-star already. He looks like maybe an MVP sitting there with a .438 batting average. Tell me about what you've seen out of Acuna thus far.
Yeah, I mean it's insane, right? I mean he's toying with people. You're talking about a 1,500 OPS. The Braves record, by the way, for April, and I know we've got half a month left, is 1.483. So he's on pace to surpass that record held by Hank Aaron from 1959. In terms of weighted run created plus, he's on pace to have the biggest month in Braves history. This is insane. He's got 22 extra base hits. He's 8 away from the Braves record of 22 extra base hits. The major league record for extra base hits in April is 23. So he is closing in on the major league record for extra base hits in the month of April. I think it's well within reach for him. Obviously, the pace numbers are ridiculous right now. 82 home runs, 82 doubles, 14 triples, 41 stolen bases. I mean, this is not sustainable. We know that, but it's unreal. I mean, the guy is just absolutely locked in, and unfortunately, not a lot of other pieces in this offense are. But man, he looks fantastic. He just looks like a guy who's on a mission early in the season.
Yeah, he does. And you're right. None of that's going to be sustainable if you can't hit around him. And basically nobody has to this point. I mean, Freddie, again, starting to get going, and you're not going to pitch around Ronald Acuna Jr. just to pitch to Freddie Freeman. I don't care what his batting average says. But Ozuna, Albies, Swanson, I mean, they're 3-4-5 today. That's about a 162 combined average, Corey, between those three. I mean, it's early, man. They're 12. This is what, their 13th game of the year. So I don't think anybody needs to freak out about it just yet, but it is something to kind of keep an eye on. They need to get going.
Yeah, I kind of dove into this on my piece on Talking Chop today, but if you look at Marcell Ozuna, I mean, the first 10 games of the season, he was hitting 139 with a 244 on base percentage. The hard hit rate was still there where it was last year, but when you look at the swing, on Tuesday night, he has a great night, hits his first home run of the season, and you saw more of a muted leg kick from him, and much more than he had last year. And then if you go back to his first year in St. Louis, he was kind of doing something similar where he didn't have much of a leg kick. His last year in Miami, when he was really good, his first year in St. Louis, it's more pronounced, and he struggled. I think he's getting back to a more simplified approach right now. Obviously his timing's off, and he's still hitting the ball hard, but the timing's just off right now. So I think you're seeing him kind of simplify his approach to get back there. And on the flip side of that, I mean, Ozzy Albies with multiple walks last night. I know you don't look for moral victories, but for a guy who's not hitting well, to be able to still get on base is certainly a positive for him. But I think they've got Freddie Freeman where he needs to be at second in this lineup. But man, just nobody else is really producing at a consistent rate, and I'm sure it has to be really frustrating for Acuna to be playing as well as he is right now, and this team to be in last place in the National League East.
Yeah, but they're not as bad as the Nationals, though.
We'll see.
Darren was trying to rock Braves world after I think they started like 0-2 or something like that, and then the Braves what they do swept the Nationals.
Well, there was a 4-game losing streak, and now there's another 4-game losing streak, so it's right back where the Braves need to be. Right, you're almost guaranteed to win here.
It's April.
They've not lost 5 straight games since 2017, so I think you have to like their chances today.
What about the pitching staff? What is concerning, and what has impressed you thus far?
Yeah, I mean, Ian Anderson right now, I mean, he's got a 5.40 ERA. He's obviously down 2-0 in this game right now. Max Fried has just not been the Max Fried that we, were used to. I mean, the stuff is still there. I mean, you look at all the peripherals on his changeup are, all right there. As much as the inches of drop that he's getting, all that stuff, the fastball velocity, everything's right. He's just people are just hitting the ball hard against him. I mean, he's got a 349 weighted on base average against him. That was 237 last season. I mean, they're just hammering everything he offers right now. And he's just in a bad way. He's obviously on the disabled list with the hamstring injury sustained from running the bases. So some people that, got upset about pitchers having to hit again will get worked up on that. But, obviously Huascar, has been a great surprise. I think you've seen some positives from Drew Smiley and Charlie Morton. But, we knew things were going to kind of revert a little bit for Ian Anderson. I don't know if expecting this much. We saw the Phillies in back-to-back games and they got to him, but certainly that and Max Fried, being on the IL and not pitching well, I think are a couple concerning things for this rotation.
Well, how long is Fried anticipated to be out? Do you know?
Yeah, I think they could get him back April 27th. So, we'll see. It's obviously a hamstring, so this can be kind of tricky. I think it came at the perfect time. I mean, if he had coming off of the starts that he's had, I know they wanted to get him some time away, and I think this kind of works. I mean, he's got 11.43 ERA right now. I mean, there's only 2 starting pitchers in baseball right now who are worse than him in terms of WAR, and one of them who's right there with him is Mike Fulton-Evans, who the Braves decided wasn't good enough to pitch in Atlanta anymore. So, guy definitely needs some time. So I think they'll push it to the limit.
All right, so the Braves, we expect them to turn it around at some point, but today might not be the day. I don't know. Who knows? How about the Red Sox? They started the year with being swept by Baltimore, 0-3, and they haven't lost since then, and they've scored the second most runs in baseball, Corey.
Yeah, I mean, the offense has been fantastic. I still do have some concerns about the long-term viability of their pitching. I just don't think that's really sustainable. I mean, they're kind of pitching above their heads, I think, right now. So, they're 20th in the league right now with a 3.67 ERA. So, I like the offense. JD Martinez has been on fire, but certainly pitching, I think, is going to catch up to the Red Sox at some point.
Well, the Dodgers are good. So the Red Sox, they can't win the World Series unless they beat the Dodgers. I think
everyone in California is good.
I saw baseball. I laughed at this. I'm not taking a shot at baseball, but it was kind of silly. There's a graphic from Major League Baseball's Twitter page. I think it was this morning or late last night. Dodgers, first team to 10 wins. Cool.
It rings
15th. I don't care. Oh, all right. What do we miss?
Do you think if the Mets had been the first to 10 wins and they would have used that World Series celebration that got you so worked up?
Oh, well, that was Darren. Yeah,
they probably would have, right? Steve Cohen probably would have put a banner in the stadium. 10 wins first.
We're the first to 10, boys. Here we go. Oh, hold on to your hats. Hey, by the way, A-Rod couldn't get the Mets, so now he's going to go own a team in the NBA. He's gonna be an owner of the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I thought it funny that Anthony Edwards didn't even know who he was. So
that was funny.
I think we all know he's Team J-Lo.
Well,
it's another good point. Who isn't these days?
So apparently they broke up officially, and then also apparently I read a sports media column today. ESPN's upset that Wojnarowski did not break the story of A-Rod purchasing the Timberwolves, and instead the Athletic did, because A-Rod is an ESPN employee. So how could he dare not let Wojbomb be the guy who breaks that story? Apparently it ruffled some feathers, like significantly.
Wow. I wish it would have been a J-Lo fan site that would have broke it. That would have been even better.
That would have been better.
Yeah. So they're broken up for real?
That's what they say.
God, if they can't make it, what chance do the rest of us have?
Well, I mean, what would the divorce settlement have been had they actually purchased the Mets? I mean, what would that have looked like? I want the Mets. You can take them.
Maybe it would become like picking teams, right? Like he wants Conforto, she wants Alonso.
yeah, draft. A draft. Yeah. I look. I don't own him, but I own you, and you're in the lineup today. There's no doubt about that. All right, man. We're gonna let you run on that note. I was telling somebody yesterday about TalkingChop.com. We were talking about it on the air, as a matter of fact, Darren. TalkingChop.com. What a neat place to get the best information you can. Corey, obviously one of the great contributors over there. So for all things Braves, check them out. Make sure you follow Corey on Twitter as well. And you can always follow us, and Corey's around here on Thursdays. We'll see you next Thursday, bud.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Later. Cory McCartney in Hotlanta, Georgia, or at least it's going to be pretty soon. Also, it gets hot in Columbia, and that's where Mike Yuva is. And he's going to join us when we return from the National Anthem right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at McFadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about McFadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risk their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston. Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Low Country. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf team. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the National Anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
Final hour, Thursday afternoon. Welcome back. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen, StokesVW.com. Make sure you've downloaded our app, the JB and Goldwater app. It's free. That's where you can watch and listen to our program daily. And you have it in your phone, so you can take us anywhere in the world, which is awesome. Darren Goldwater is in that ugly-looking red shirt. It's got a W on it with the Penn State hat on. I am JB. Mike Yuva is joining us as well in Columbia. Before we get him in here, let me give you another quick update from down in beautiful Hilton Head, South Carolina at the Heritage, where Stuart Sink continues to lead. He has been in the clubhouse, I think, about an hour now or so, I think, Darren, at 8 under, 63 in round one. Wow, unbelievable. Matt Wallace, 6 under. He's also in the clubhouse. Charles Howell, Billy Horschel, they sit at 5 under. They're done. Harold Varner III is on 18. He's at 5 under as well. Clemson's Lucas Glover at 4 under. His round is through as well. So we'll keep an eye on the scoreboard throughout the afternoon. We do have Scott Glaze joining us here in just a little while, and we'll touch up on him with this. And right now, Darren's comments at the top of the show continue to ring true. Mine don't. That Dustin Johnson, he dropped the shot, so he's 1 under today. But it's okay. 6 under tomorrow for DJ. He'll be back in it.
Yeah, we'll see. He hasn't got 6 under in a long time.
Yeah, no, well, you know what? There's a lot of things that haven't in a long time. Then they do. So 6 under tomorrow for DJ, whatever. Go Gamecocks, DJ. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man?
Good, how you doing?
Whatever. Yeah, it's all good. So congratulations on winning the biscuit contest.
Oh yeah.
I mean, why do you even work? What do you need this day job for? Just be a biscuit guy.
Yeah, I haven't seen a penny from it though. So I mean, it doesn't pay the bills at all. The Bojangles national champion is the Uva. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said this was a dream of mine when I was a child, because I didn't even know Bojangles until 5 years ago. So,
come on, give us an acceptance speech. Come on,
give us an acceptance speech. Well, you
come
know,
on, you can do it.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for the opportunity to win this tremendous biscuit championship. My parents for always letting me eat fast food as a kid. And then, Brian Glenn for always just giving me extra cheese over at Village Idiot Pizza. But I think more than anything, those young boys and girls, when they put their head on their pillow when they go to sleep at night and they say, you know what? Everyone tells me I can't do it in the world. Let me tell you something, kids. You can. You can have your own biscuit named after you, And if it takes you 3 years living in the South to find out what bless your heart really means, it's okay. It's happening to you too. So go out there, chase your dreams, and God bless.
Well done.
Brilliantly done. And this was a mistake. So mistakes happen, and sometimes they're for the best, right?
Absolutely.
It's amazing stuff. I was telling yesterday, my in-laws got here on Tuesday. It was Tuesday. I was telling my mother-in-law and believe it or not, my grandmother-in-law. They stopped and stayed in North Carolina on the way down, and I think they stayed in Lumberton, and they were going to go eat at Bojangles. They've never eaten at a Bojangles. They're up in Delaware, northeasterners.
Yeah, where Popeyes is good and better.
All you northeasterners, you little birds of a feather that flock around together. And they're like, yeah, but the ratings were like 2.3. I said, give me a damn break. Don't read that crap. That's like social media. It's a cesspool. Yep. You got to go get a Bowberry biscuit. Yeah, I did. Oh, I told them all about it. I said, it's pimento cheese. It's a Cajun filet biscuit on a Bowberry biscuit. What's a Bowberry? I said, it's blueberries in a biscuit. That sounds disgusting. I said, well, Mike Uva's the national champion.
And
worked out.
I really don't know what else to say to it. I really don't.
Hey,
speechless. It's a good thing.
Now that you've got some pull with Bojangles, see what you can do to bring back Gotta Wanna Need to Get to Have a Bojangles.
Every time, whether I'm on, I know when Darren was on, you mentioned it. So we'll see what we can do with that.
Come on, man.
I'll say this. I do want to mention this. I thought this was funny. So I'm at Carolina Calls last week. They do it at the home team in Columbia.
Yeah. And
I usually try to go if I can, once a week because, my good buddy Kirk Hollingsworth, big time Gamecock super fan. A lot of people know who he is. 343 straight Gamecock football games he's attended. And it's crazy with everything that he's gone through from a health standpoint with cerebral palsy. But that aside, we're there. Coach Kingston's up on stage, right? Doing the show. This little kid came over and wanted to take a picture with me. I'm like, the head coach is right there. And he's like, no, I'm going to go get the Uva tomorrow. We came up from Orlando. Like, I'm really excited. And Kingston comes over afterwards and he's like, you got to be kidding me. It's just, but that's kind of what this biscuit thing has done. It's funny, but I'm definitely appreciative of it because I know that it's something that we can all kind of just smile and laugh at. I know for a fact though, it drives him nuts is Andrew Clifford, former Gamecock backup quarterback. He hates all this stuff. And he, it's not to the point where he hates me. Maybe he does. He thinks we're good. He hates all this stuff. He is sick and tired of seeing the Bojangle this, Bojangle that, this stupid biscuit, this and that. So I know it drives him nuts. So if anyone's listening, you don't even have to necessarily order it. Just tweet a biscuit at Andrew Clifford, tag him in the Uber or whatever. Just do that. I'm sure it'd really brighten his day every day. Just keep it going.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen some of that, and I think Garcia's gotten on him a little bit. Like, hey, dude, knock it off.
Garcia loves it. Oh,
yeah.
we just bust his chops. We just bust his chops with it.
Well, there you go, guys. Free pub for Bojangles and for spokesperson Mike Uva. And
unofficial. Hopefully the Bills come in one day.
And that's it. We have nothing else to discuss. Well, Frank did invite the media to lunch today.
He did.
So I'm going to send Emily a note and tell her whenever Frank decides to set this up, let me know, because I kind of want to be there for this.
Absolutely.
Based on what I heard today, those 80 minutes.
You're going to see. The funny thing is, I'm not expecting Halls. I know we're joking around. And if anyone knows who Sweet Lou is, Lou Bajak at the state newspaper does a tremendous job with high school sports. And him and I, we have our fun on social media. I said, if we went to Halls, Lou would show up. Lou covers the team maybe like twice a year. I said he'd show up at Halls and probably order like a hot dog or something like that. That's what Lou would do, So I think we need a swing for the fences, whether it's Halls, whether it's Blue Marlin, whether it's Ruth Chris. I think we need a swing for the fences here. I know it's not going to happen. We'll probably get and I'm grateful. We get any type of food because I'm sure there's someone listening, there's someone in a different country that would love to have food. We're all joking, all right? Lighten up, Francis. But, if we could go to a nice place and get some food, free meal on Frank, he's got that contract that's looking pretty good. I think he could pay for that, but I'd be happy with even a bag lunch. You get bag lunch, free lunch.
If there's a media meal at Halls, I'm coming. I will. I guarantee you, I will be there. Even if we'll take a day off the show, that's fine.
To have high expectations for stuff like this. No, I'm having extremely high expectations, so I could be terribly, terribly let down. So my dreams are it's going to be at Halls. I'm telling myself we're getting lunch at Halls with Frank. We're just going to start putting that out there and speak it into existence.
Well, and if for some reason that doesn't work out again, I just want the pimento cheese from Rockaway's, so we can go get a pimento cheeseburger from Rockaway's.
I've never had it. Everyone keeps telling me I need to go get a burger over there. I know,
Mike.
I know.
Man, you have just go have the heart attack meal. You want the pimento cheese fries with the pimento cheese burger, and that's all you need. You play around a pool or something while you're in there.
That'll be good. I'm sure I'll have to wait not just an hour. I'll probably have to wait 2 weeks before I can go swimming after having that. Sounds good.
Yeah. It's okay. What'd you think about that PC today? I told Darren earlier, he was. We've been around Frank a long time. And when Frank feels good and when Frank doesn't feel good. And he was on fire today. He was emotional. I think he was confident. He was energetic. He certainly, of course, Mike, as you know, had some extra things to say here and there. What did you make of that?
Well, before I say anything, because I know some people had the opportunity to listen to it, and I'm sure it was streamed in some places, but something that's just different that obviously no one would really know, or at least, the general public wouldn't know. I had a chance to speak with someone who spoke with Frank yesterday, and everything that you heard from Frank today was as authentic as it could be. Like, this was not something that he was putting up and just putting on a front and, just putting on a smile. Frank is feeling good, both physically and mentally. And I think that's tremendous because we know what this past season did to him, both physically and mentally and emotionally as well. So I think being able to see him go out there for 78 minutes, and I tweeted this out after the press conference, we weren't going to get everything that happened behind the scenes. And that should be the case for a lot of businesses, right? Whether it's your job, my job, people listening at home, or they're at work right now, you're not going to know exactly what's going on all the time. We get that. We're going to try to get as much information as we can. I thought Frank was as transparent as he could be. The fact that he did not dodge any questions, did not dance around any questions, and on top of that, spoke for 78 minutes tells you exactly that he was not trying to hide from anything. And he was his typical Frank self, being able to make jokes. I feel like that's something, obviously when you're losing, you're not able to make those jokes as much. We get that. but Frank was more of himself. And that was just a pleasure to be able to see because of, like I said, everything that he went through, being able to get his eyebrows going again. I mean, it's great to be able to see. So, Frank had a chance to be able to unwind last week. He went on vacation, went to go down to Miami, see his family, his mother. And I'm sure that kind of gave him that extra oomph, after everything that took place, last Friday with the contract extension. So I think he's in a good place right now. And I think if he had the chance to do it, I know he said it, but I truly believe it. If you had basketball season starting next week and people can make jokes about the roster, this and that, bottom line is this: Frank Martin's ready to go. He is ready to go. I don't care if he's coaching players from TikTok Tech or if he's got a full roster of guys ready to go right now. He is ready to coach. And I think we're going to see a different Frank Martin. And one other thing, too, and I know I'm kind of rambling now at this point, but at the very end, I thought this was something that, and I've really thought about it. At the very end, he mentioned, I want to go get lunch. We talked about it. I want to go get lunch with the media, right? And the reason I point that out is this. I'm not saying Frank is going to be a completely different person, but I think he's done a lot of self-reflection over the last couple of weeks. And he understands that the media, sometimes I wouldn't say enemies, but I'm sure, he doesn't get along with everybody. Sometimes you need to be on those people's side right now. And he can get an understanding of maybe some of the things how he comes off from the people that are closest to the program. And I think he wants to right now be able to change himself up just a little bit. I'm not saying change completely, but I think that's one of the reasons he mentioned that, because he wants to figure out, what do I have to do better in the perception of the people that cover us every day? Maybe some things that I'm just not picking up on, so that I can get this program back headed in the right direction and kind of make the adjustments that I need to, so we can get this program back in the direction that I believe that it can get back heading towards.
Mike, I think you make a really good point there. I think that there were some underlying messages today, and that's one of them in his comments. And I told Darren earlier, look, I think I missed the first minute of that press conference, and that was it. A little late sitting down. Mike had to get my coffee. But I felt, he referenced social media and the cesspool that it is and can be quite a few times today, and things like that. I think too, there was a part of Frank that was protecting his players. I don't know how much he's ever going to come out and we'll talk more in just a second about some media things that he said, but I don't know that Frank's always just going to come out swinging on everybody. But think about this for a second, right? Just think about it. You're a social media guy. I think for the most I say for the most part, I don't mean this in any other way than that, just based on what I've seen. Yeah. You've utilized social media in a positive way in your career. But social media is not always positive. And his kids had a terrible season. A lot of his players individually had awful years. As a team, they weren't good. Frank was going through a lot. It was negative. And anytime those kids went to pick up a phone or get on the internet or whatever it was right there in their faces. And I felt like that was a lot of what Frank was kind of getting to today. Like, guys, they can't survive this if every second they turn around and you're spitting on them. Yeah. And I think he almost wants to say to some people, shut your damn mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. But he can't say that, of course. We can. So I thought he had underlying messages throughout that press conference today, in addition to just how outspoken and point blank he was.
No question about it. And I think the other thing, too, is this. And we hear this is something that it goes without saying, but it's the truth. Any athlete, and I won't say any athlete because there's probably, maybe, you're, and obviously basketball, you get your 12, but maybe one or two players on the team that really fall through with it. But you talk to guys like J.C. Horn, you talk to guys like Sadarius Hutchinson, you talk to guys, obviously those are football players, but you talk to guys in different sports and college sports. They're reading everything. They know what's going on. These kids are 18 to 22 years old. And this thing right here is a lot of people's life. That's just the reality of it, and we could talk about that from a philosophical standpoint another day in terms of how important that thing really is. But it's the truth, whether it's to communicate with someone, whether it's to stay in contact with family and friends, everything's right there. So, it is difficult sometimes not to see what's going on. It's kind of like, if you have like an ex-girlfriend and you're trying to like distance yourself from it, You really have to do a good job with just putting it to the side. And for some people, that's easier said than done. And I think for a lot of collegiate athletes, that's not always the case, especially, like I said, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. As you get older, you're able to figure things out a little bit. You're able to put the phone down a little bit more, and you're able to kind of put things to the side. But they know what's being said. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. Like I said, any athlete, for the most part, I shouldn't say the majority of collegiate athletes, especially Power 5, they know what's being said. They know what's going on. So, and Frank, and he said it before, Frank will never throw one of his players under the bus. He just won't do it. I mean, think back to that Alabama game in particular, when there's only a couple seconds left, you're down by 3, and they lay the ball up. They don't even give themselves a chance to win. Frank could have been an absolute, I'm trying to think of just a nice PG word. He could have just went off. He could have just been an absolute asshat afterwards about that. But he didn't. And he took ownership. He's like, you know what? As a head coach, I need to make sure they know what's going on. And we all knew at the end of the day that he had them ready to go. Players just, one player, 2 players, they just, for whatever reason, they just had a mental breakdown. And these things happen. But the bottom line is Frank is going to be that's what I love about Frank. He's always been consistent through the highs and lows. He never throws his players under the bus.
Mike, I think the one thing that I didn't hear today, unless I missed it somewhere, which I would have, maybe I should have asked a question, but generally I just let you reporter guys do that. I just sit there and watch him. I like to laugh while he's just throwing darts at all of you. But one of the things that I do feel like needs to be at some point in time discussed is the inexplainable losses. And I think that our friend JC Sherbert, Darren, I don't know if you remember this a couple of weeks ago when JC was on with us talking about this. And people could complain all they want to about Frank Martin's recruiting and this, that, and the other. Here are the facts, though. I mean, this year was a bad year, but this year wouldn't mean anything had he been to the dance 2 or 3 times already. People would have thrown it out and moved on. But the facts are this: they beat the good teams. It's the bad losses that have cost them. So it's the guys who go out there and beat defending national champion Virginia and then turn around and lose to Boston University. No offense, Mike. It's not that it's not that they have bad players. They beat Virginia at Virginia. They beat Florida. They beat all these great teams, and then they lose these weird games, and that's what's hampered them from getting into 2 tournaments. He's right. They did get railroaded the year before they went to the Final Four. But we've never really heard real explanations on that. I don't even know if he has one. And I think that's the one thing that I was really hoping maybe he would address today is just a couple of the Wyoming loss, things like that, where you're like, dude, if you don't lose 3 or 4 of these games in your career, you've been to the tournament 3 times.
And I don't know if it's as simple as being able to ask that question and you get the answer that you want. And that's not a cop-out for not asking it. But I think in terms of this, another historic coach in this great state of South Carolina, Buddy Pugh, one of the great lines he always says, I could be off with the actual figure. But you ask Coach Pugh a question sometimes and he'll be like, well, that's the $500,000 question, if I had an answer for that. I honestly think that's what it comes down to, is that there's really no answer. And I wish there was. And I'm sure if there was, Frank would address it, and not just address it in terms of answering the question, but being able to address it in terms of being able to fix it. In my opinion of why they struggle with some of those games is because of the installment from a defensive philosophy. I think when you look at the beginning of the year for Frank Martin teams, and even the year when they went to the Final Four, right? They got off to a hot start. And obviously, yes, and Darius Thornwell got suspended in there too. They were really starting to click once they got into conference play. And if you look back just these last couple of years too, through the highs and lows, and I know it seems like more lows because of the fact that they haven't made the tournament, but even these last couple of years outside of last season, they've really been able to pick things up once they get into conference play. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of them understanding what the defensive scheme is. And, what people will say is, well, you have all these returning starters, or you have guys that are returning back, they should understand the philosophy. I agree with that. But just like an offensive line, you have 5 guys out there. They need to be able to be on the same page with each other. So, yeah, you have A.J. Lawson back. You have Keyshawn Bryant back. You have these guys out there that understand the defense. But if you have a guy that comes in and it's his first year and he doesn't truly understand the defensive scheme, that could put your other guys in a tough spot. And now you have to compensate by doing extra things. And now you're out of position, and it can just screw everything up. So I think more than anything, this is just from talking with people that are close to the program. And I think that was one of the main reasons why this team really struggled this year, is because they were behind the 8 ball with learning the defense. And not just that, but it takes them time with learning Frank's philosophy. And I think because of that, you focus more on trying to play catch up on defense. You're not really shooting as much, and that's why Frank always talked about it with Thornwell, and we saw it with Kuzner at the towards the middle of the season, end of the season. These guys were going out shooting on their own because that's what Thornwell would do. I think, and I haven't been at a full practice in the middle of the season because they're not open to the public, but it just seems like there's a higher emphasis on teaching the defense. And it's not like to say it's like Coach Carter basketball, but he wants you to be able to go out and kind of work on your jump shot and do those things on your own time a little bit more. I'm sure they practice shooting. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want someone to be like, oh, Frank Martin's not practicing offense. They are. But my point being is I think they spend so much time on defense. A guy like Seventh Woods, right? He was able to start to figure things out a little bit. It's not like he really took off, but notice how slow he was at the beginning of the year in terms of just the way he was playing. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was trying to learn the defense and trying to figure things out, because whether you transfer in, whether you're coming out of high school, the way Frank coaches is like nothing else. I mean, it's like is unlike anything else. You know, he's just so big with coaching defense. And I think it's something that takes time to be able to adjust to. And maybe he's going to make an adjustment to that this offseason, try to figure out, okay, if this is an issue, what do we have to do so that we don't fall behind? Because if we lose to a Wyoming, if we lose to a Boston University, if we lose to a Stetson, and yet we have a great season and we're only 1 or 2 games, we're on the bubble, that could be the game that keeps us out. We got to find a way to get over that hurdle.
That's right. I mean, everything that you said, like, I'm listening to it, Darren's listening to it, but 90% of people don't care about anything that you just said. All they care about is, yeah, that's great and all, but don't lose those games. Like, yep. You can't. I mean, it all makes sense, and I get it. We've talked about the same things, Darren, but they're like, but people are. That's true, because I can name, I can name 6 games. 6 games. He's been here for 9 years, 10 years, whatever it is, 9 years. I can name 6 games right now that have kept him out of 2 tournaments. Now, one of those tournaments would have been last year that they would have basically qualified for, but the season would have ended because of COVID, and that does need to be in play here. But I can name them, and that's in 9 years, guys. You're talking about a small handful of games here, because as you pointed out on the press conference today, they win in the SEC. I know that this was a bad year, but they have like the 3rd or 4th most wins in the league over the last 5 years. They win. So, yeah, you know, it'll be interesting to watch moving forward. One final one on this. I do want to get to baseball before we let you run. Darren and I were discussing this earlier, Mike. I don't know that. All right, let's go back to the fall. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to October as we were approaching the season, and everybody had even with COVID, actually everybody felt pretty good about the program. Everybody had expectations because of the kids that they returned. In basketball, you don't have to return 10 guys. Generally, you have to return like 3 or 4 to have pretty good expectations. I don't know that those expectations should change for anybody. If they do get Bryant back, which he said today they're expecting to get Kuznar back. Frank's going to be back. We'll see about AJ Lawson. I don't know that their expectations should change a whole lot. I think that they should still be expected to make the tournament. I don't care what anybody else says. I look at that nucleus and say, that group, I've seen them play and I've seen how good they can be. That group is good enough. And I don't know that should be, I don't think those expectations should change at all.
And I think too, because some people are going to look at it and be like, well, who's on the roster? Well, you just named a couple names. I mean, you just named a couple guys that are on the roster that are expected to be back. And like you said, we're going to have to wait with AJ Lawson. And for people that did not hear it today, because I think some people are like, well, what's the holdup? Why hasn't he declared? Frank explained it today, and I think some people don't understand it because of the new rule that was put in a couple years ago with the NBA. If you declare for the NBA and you do not sign with an agent, you have that opportunity to be able to get graded and then come back. Lawson has done that before. Because he's done that before, he can't do that again. If he declares, it's all in. You can't stick your toe into the pool and decide, oh, I'm not going in yet. If he decides to go to the NBA, he has to go. He has to go. Keyshawn Bryant, Jermaine Couisnard, it is different for them because this is their first time declaring. If they do not sign with an agent, which they have not at this point, and they want to opt out or opt back in and come back to school, they can do that. So Lawson right now, that is why he's taken some time. That is why this past week he has been home with his family thinking about these things. And I wouldn't expect a decision to be made. I mean, it could be made later today, it could be tomorrow. But my point being is I wouldn't be shocked if he just takes his time. And he has took his time and really weighed things out. And now that he knows that Frank Martin is coming back, maybe that's something that makes him feel a bit more comfortable. Seeing what's going to be coming back here next season, seeing some of the guys that are transferring in, and then start asking yourself, does this put me in a better situation from a draft standpoint if I return to school in comparison to if I go into the draft right now? Because, look, AJ, we know that he's capable of being able to play at a high level, but the reality is, too, he had a good season, but he went through ups and downs. And if he's not drafted, does he feel confident enough he can do what PJ Dozier did? Dozier took the long way to get to where he is, and he had to, take his lumps, but at the same time, too, that's where he is right now, and he's doing a good job. So I think more than anything, I agree with what you're saying, is that this team has the nucleus, if those guys return back, to be a tournament team. There's no question about it. And if you don't think for a minute that kind of like next season with a comparison, right, with Belichick, seeing Brady go out and win, and now he's extra motivated. If you don't think Frank is motivated more now than ever, you have just lost your dang mind. I mean, this guy is going to be ready to go, do whatever he can from a legal standpoint. He's not going to do anything illegal. He's not going to cheat. That's just something that we've always known about. Frank will not cheat. And that maybe is put him behind the eight ball a little bit because we know other coaches are out there doing that. Let's just call a spade a spade. Mm-hmm. But he's going to push the envelope as much as he can. He's trying to reinvent himself in some ways, like we mentioned with going out and getting lunch with the media. I think Frank is really going to find ways. And there's some other things that I can't discuss right now. But from a culture standpoint, there's some other things that could be taking place over the next couple of weeks with guys arriving at USC that could help from a culture standpoint. So just be on the lookout for that.
Good. Here at the end of the day, fans, whether you want to hear it or you don't want to hear it, Frank Martin's your basketball coach. So you either hop in the boat or swim to shore, one or the other. All right, tonight the Gamecocks will play LSU in Alex Box Stadium down in Baton Rouge. For those, again, that look at a record, it's, LSU's 3-9 in the league. They're not any good. Yeah, you go try to play in Alex Box Stadium and tell me how that works out. They're really good down there. They took 2 of 3 last weekend from Kentucky and Lexington. Thomas Farr is going to be on the bump tonight for South Carolina. Our good buddy Mike Morgan will have the call on ESPNU. Of course, Derek Scott's got it on the radio. Hey, they're 22-9, Mike Yuva, and this starts the stretch of all stretches in college baseball. They're in a program in the country that has what Carolina's got left on its schedule. And so as we look at what's left on this schedule, you've been around the program a little bit. You've been around Mark and these guys. You've been around the players. How are they handling this?
I think they're handling it well. And I think more than anything, they continue to just be loose. There's going to be slumps. Guys are going to go through slumps. We saw that with Wes Clark. He's trying to get out of it. He's trying to get back into the swing of things. No pun intended. But, I mean, that's kind of this is what baseball is. So I think more than anything, and this is something that we've talked about from the beginning of the season, this team's going to continue to depend on their pitching, especially their starting pitching. You need to be able to go out there, put yourself in a spot where you're at least getting, 5+, 6+ innings, and to be able to help that bullpen as much as you can, because you're in a position now where the schedule is going to continue to pick up, as you mentioned, and you're going to be going up against some of the best teams in the country. And on top of that, you're going to have to find ways to be able to not just, if you can sweep someone, that's fantastic, but you need to, more than anything, be able to at least take 2 of 3. If you take 2 or 3 for the majority of these series for the rest of the year on the weekends, you are going to be in a great position. You're going to be fantastic with your RPI. You're going to be awesome in terms of where you are from a standing standpoint. When you're getting ready for the conference tournament, you're going to put yourself in the best position so that you have an opportunity to host a regional. And I understand, there's things going on right now with college baseball and where regional spots are, but I think you get what I'm trying to get at, which is you'd be the number 1 seed in your region. So if you're South Carolina, that's all you're focused on. All you are focused on is being able to take 2 of 3 each weekend. And I know Kingston wouldn't say it that way. He'd be just like, just worry about the next game. But big picture of the small picture, take 2 of 3. Take 2 or 3. That's all you have to worry about. Because if you do that for the rest of the way, you're going to put yourself in a great spot.
Ray Tanner used to say, don't lose your midweeks. Win your series at home and don't get swept on the road, baby. And you're going to be a regional host if you've gotten through the SEC, because other things are going to happen. I've got a prediction. I think Thomas Farr is going to be pretty good tonight. I know he's been a little bit off the last couple of weeks. I think Thomas Farr is going to be pretty good tonight for South Carolina. We'll see. Gamecocks 1-3 on Friday nights in the SEC this year. But as we've mentioned, just play every game on Sunday because they're undefeated. 4-0, and Brady Allen is 11 of 18 with 5 home runs, and he looks like a dadgum All-American every Sunday afternoon. We'll leave it there, Mike. You got a lot to cover, man. You got football. You got a scrimmage this weekend. You got Frank. You got baseball. Apparently, you've got hockey. Hale McGranahan says you've changed shirts 3 times today, so that's interesting. It's 1:30.
Yeah, so I spilled something on my first one. Just off to an awful start. But this is what happens. I'm not used to working on Thursdays. I'm doing a feature story today, so I'm off tomorrow. But I had a polo on, spilled something, and then I put a different one on. I'm like, you know what? These guys, Gamecock Club Hockey.
Yeah, okay.
Cock Hockey on Twitter. They're actually doing a giveaway, and they're also raising money. They're giving these jerseys away to sell them to be able to raise money for their club sport. So I don't care if it's Clemson, USC. I always say TikTok Tech, but any team out there, club team that's trying to raise money so they can keep the program going, I'm all for. So I'm wearing this to support the boys. Like I said, Cock Hockey, be able to go buy a shirt so you can continue to help them out so that they can continue to have a season and be able to do something that they love. So shout out to Cock Hockey.
I mean, that's
what I'm talking about.
Hockey. I mean, this is why we need them to succeed so that this can continue to be fed. Cock Hockey.
This is probably awful. In the back, it says
something
own the state.
Own the state. Got it.
So I don't know if that was even worth really showing, but I thought that was cool that they had that in there. I mean, was really like I'm over here I'm looking like the Hunchback of Notre Dame over here.
So you dropped pimento cheese on your first shirt and you had to put the Cock Hockey jersey on, is what you're saying.
It was leftover Waffle House last night, and I ordered the Whataburger ketchup, so I had a little.
Whoa! Leftover? What? Nobody goes to Waffle House and doesn't finish their meal, dude. Come on.
Well, we had a long night last night, and I did. Thankfully, I did mix in some water, so it was not a rough day.
I've never left a Waffle House going, I think I can't finish this. I'm going to take it home. Even when I was full, I'm going to eat the rest of that.
I couldn't. This is the first time I've ever had leftover waffle. I will say this, though. Leftover Waffle House, because I usually get the bacon cheesesteak melt, some hash browns. You just throw a little Whataburger spicy ketchup on it. That's the only stuff I eat now. I just order that on Amazon. You throw that all on it, you don't even have to heat it up. It's good to go. It is good to go.
Oh, man. Darren lives right next to a Waffle House. You should come down. We'll eat lunch one day.
I do, yes.
That's my go-to place after going to the bars.
Hey, dude, when I was in high school, everybody used to meet at the Waffle House around 2 o'clock on Friday night, and somebody would fight. It happened every time. Never me. I just sat there and watched these idiots punch each other in the face. But on that note, we got to let you run, man. Speaking of hockey, that's what they do in hockey.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks. Good stuff. I know we kept you a long time today, but it was boy, that was an interesting 80 minutes or so with Frank Martin, and good recap from you as always. We'll be monitoring the next fast food championships to see if you enter your name in there, and we'll have you back.
I appreciate that. Real quick, first time I ever had a Waffle House, spring break, PCB, and people from Tennessee gave it to me, right? They had that. I swear to God, there was a McDonald's bag next to it, though. So I don't know if there was any money in it, but they didn't let me see what was in that bag. They only gave me the Waffle House. True story, though. Tennessee, just saying.
You just don't ask if they're. You got to go up into them hills outside of Knoxville and get you some moonshine there next time you're around there.
Oh, I had
by the way,
first time. Oof.
What's coming up on the next podcast?
Well, put it this way, it'll be a fun podcast, but I am holding my breath because I haven't done this yet where we tape the day before it drops. So I don't want to say the person or the people's names on it. It will be one of the funner podcasts. I am just praying to God, and I think maybe that kind of gives you an idea who it possibly could be. I need this person to make sure that they can read the clock and they can get somewhere where they can turn their phone on to be able to do this. So I am just praying to God. I'm putting my faith in them. I'm a little scared. You probably have an idea who that is.
Been through it.
Praying to God this happens because it would be a great trio to be able to get together. So fingers crossed. We'll drop Monday. I think you have an idea, though.
I think I know exactly who it is, and I have crossed my fingers many of times, and half the time I could uncross them because I just gave up. So
we'll see.
Good luck. See you, Mike. Thanks, man.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
There you go, Mike. You watch Fox in Columbia. All right, I know. Good hair. Scott's getting frustrated. Let's hit a timeout. When we return, we'll get his look at the Masters and the Heritage right here on the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every 2021 Tiguan, $3,500 off. Every 2021 Atlas, $5,300 off. Every new Volkswagen available with zero down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump? Strike two! If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save $5,300 on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with zero down. Plus tax tag. Includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes Meetup.
What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at McFadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about McFadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
Spring is officially here, and there's no better place to bring it in than the Dog and Duck. 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Park West, Bell Hall, and Clements Ferry Road, all of them with gorgeous outdoor seating to take advantage of their daily food and drink specials. Through the end of April, $5 Sweetwater pints. Food specials like Taco Tuesday and the Game Day Burger every Wednesday. It's all available at Dog and Duck. There are 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater Show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and online.
I've been from Tucson to Cocaine to Hatchet Bonaparte.
My man Patrick Davis, by the way, coming to the Windjammer in June.
Saw that.
Oh.
Talked to him last night. Real quick before we get Scotty in here, in baseball, Tennessee and Vanderbilt set to go tomorrow through the weekend. Top 5 matchup. This one is in Lindsey Nelson and Knoxville. Tickets that are left, $500. You want to go to a college baseball game between the Volunteers and the Commodores, as I like to call them. Wes Miller has been hired as the next baseball coach at Cincinnati. Gonzaga is hired.
Wow, that's a creative jump for him.
Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a you-know-what? Basketball. Gonzaga's Tommy Lloyd hired as basketball coach at Arizona. All in all, 11 players transferred out of the College of Charleston, but the Cougs did sign 6 this morning, including Bucknell transfer John Meeks. So there you go. Quick.
They got a D2 All-American also from an awesome honestly, the place that I get the question all the time, best atmosphere I've ever been in to call a college basketball game. It was a Division II school. It was West Liberty. And the College of Charleston just got a D2 All-American who was the current leading scorer in all of Division II when he just transferred out. He can light it up, and it is a fantastic program that he's coming from.
Fantastic. Go Cougs. Go Cougs. Isn't that right, Scott Glaze? Look behind him right there. College of Charleston. He's got one of those little...
That's this way. Wait, which way do I point? There we go.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah.
Hello. Hey, I'm fired up about Coach Kelsey, man. This is going to be good.
You should be.
I know he was on y'all's show, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ton of
And
energy.
how was so much energy. I don't know if the guy runs off of 6 cups of coffee a day, or he's probably like a no coffee guy. Usually those big bundles of energy are like that, but excited about it.
Oh yeah.
So what does that mean for you? How many cups do you drink?
I'm about a 3-cup kind of guy. You know,
me too.
About 3 a day. So you know, we're so busy out here at the course that they usually get cold about halfway through a cup and get cold. Got to dump it out, get some more. So you know, but yeah, how are you guys doing? What'd you think of the Masters?
Sorry.
I started the show. I'll say this. I started the show by saying to Jamie that, Dustin Johnson, the first thing I wanted to ask you was what's up with DJ? Because I didn't think, even though he was a heavy favorite and a lot of people thought he had a good shot, I didn't think he did because his flat stick wasn't working so hot and he didn't play well. And he's not off to a great start here today. And he hasn't been playing great. So what's up with DJ?
I don't know what's up with DJ. I think a lot of DJ's stuff just kind of stems from self-motivation. Really kind of what fires him up. And I thought he was going to be motivated to play really well last week at the Masters, be a back-to-back champion. I'd even said I think we undervalue his career and things that he can start to rack up like that, these stats and accolades that I thought that would motivate him more. But you have all the motivation in the world. But like you said, if you're not rolling it, you're not hitting it as well as you need to, it's going to be hard to compete. So last I saw at the Heritage, I think he was 1 under. I'm not. He's finished at 1 under. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in him this week either. Not a golf course that really suits DJ's game. It is good that he's playing as a native of South Carolina, to play in our PGA Tour tournament. So great to see him, but we need to see how he starts to round into form as we go into the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. It's going to be a whirlwind summer, and we already know that he's not going to compete in the Olympic Games, so that's not on his radar. But he's the best player in the world, still number 1 in the world, and we want to see him get back on top and then in the winner's circle.
Well, I've already predicted he'll go 6 under tomorrow, so both of you can go kick rocks. Let's go back to the Masters. By the way, Stuart Sink is in the lead. He's at 8 under in the clubhouse today at the Heritage. But Will Zalatoris, man, I mean, Happy Gilmore's caddy is come a long way in life, and 9 under to finish a shot back of Matsuyama. You know what? I mean, Matsuyama won the green jacket and obviously has been the talk of the tournament, but I think he's co-authored this thing, to be honest with you. I think Will Zalatoris has gotten as much pub as anybody over the last few days. He's kind of shifted himself right into the spotlight in golf.
Yeah. I mean, look at the group that they put him in this week at the Heritage. They put him with DJ and Billy Horschel, who won a couple of weeks ago at the match play. So they put him right in the spotlight, one of the featured groups. Now, I have to toot my own horn. I've been on the Z train, as I'll call it, for a while. The guy, he's got just kind of swagger about him. That was what I really took away from the whole week at the Masters, especially Masters Sunday. The moment never seemed too big for him. So I think that is a great sign. He's going to have to learn to be in that scenario, but for some guys, it takes them a long time to learn how to handle the moment, handle the pressure, and catapult themselves into the winner's circle. I don't think there will be a big learning curve for Will Zalatoris. That's the best finish at the Masters by a Masters rookie since Dave Poole in 1982. Wow. So best finish by a Masters rookie in well over 30 years, almost 40. Fuzzy Zeller won the Masters in 1979, playing in it for the first time. So that streak still lives on. But Zalatoris, in the past, let me make sure I have this right. It's since the beginning of 2020. Now, in 2020, Will Zalatoris was spending most of his time on the Corn Ferry Tour. He now has PGA Tour status semi-status, which I think is a huge story. He does not have full status on the PGA Tour yet. He is getting exemptions into these events and into the Masters and so on and so forth due to his high finishes, due to his wins on the Corn Ferry Tour and whatnot. Since the beginning of 2020, Zalatoris now has 16 top 10s worldwide. That is the same amount of top 10s in the same time span as Jon Rahm.
Whoa.
Now, they are – some were on different tours. He did some of those on the Corn Ferry Tour, but he's also been cranking out some top 10s on the PGA Tour, and I think we have a couple of things to watch for as we head into an exciting summer of golf for Will Zalatoris is, A, can he win, which would give him status on the PGA Tour for the rest of the year and be able to compete then in the FedEx Cup. If he does not win this year and have full status, he will not be a part of the FedEx Cup at the end of the year. And wouldn't that be crazy if the guy who almost won the Masters and could continue to compete in these majors then wouldn't be part of that playoff finale? So if he can do that to officially gain his status, and then is he going to be able to play his way onto a Ryder Cup team by the fall? We have seen a lot of good stuff out of his game, and that was just heightened at the Masters. And I mean, I tell you, I was very, very impressed with his game, and yeah, we'll see how it goes the next few weeks. I think this would be prime time for him to notch a win because coming off the high of playing so well at the Masters, we'll just see how he handles the extra attention, because several weeks ago people were saying, Zalahu, and now Will Zalatoris is instantly on the forefront of everybody's mind. Yeah.
3 under today. He finished 3 under today. So he's 5 shots off Stuart Sink's 8 under lead. So, kind of give us some insight into that, Scott. I mean, he played the Masters last week. So a lot of these tour guys play the Masters and they actually take this week off. Right. Will Zalatoris is not doing that. What are the pros and cons of that decision?
Well, when you're someone like him early on in your career, you want to just get as many starts under your belt as you can. He's still searching for that first win, still searching to make enough money to have his card. This is actually a better field than we usually get at the Heritage. We had a really good field last year. This was the second event back to golf after COVID. Had a really strong field back last summer, but we have, Daniel Berger, Sutton JM, Zalatoris, Dustin Johnson, Lee Westwood, Colin Morikawa, Webb Simpson, Tommy Fleetwood, to name a few. It's a good field.
Stuart Sink, he's leading.
Yeah, Stuart Sink, which brings me to a point I wanted to make about the Masters, is top 12 is a big number last week. Top 12 at the Masters is huge, especially if you're not a guy that's going to win year in and year out on the PGA Tour. You really want to take advantage of your starts at the Masters. All players that finished in the top 12 and ties qualify for the 2022 Masters. So for someone like Hideki's there for life now, but for Will Zalatoris, huge deal. Jordan Spieth, former Masters champion, Xander Schauffele, Jon Rahm, Leishman Rose, Patrick Reed, doesn't really matter, but for the likes of Corey Connors, Cam Smith, Tony Finau, Webb Simpson, Stuart Sink, Kevin Na, Siwoo Kim, Robert McIntyre, and Brian Harman, those are your top 12 in ties at the Masters. They all get that coveted invite for 2022. So they can just check that off their list the rest of the season. They can exhale. They don't have to worry about qualifying for the Masters. So that's a huge relief for Zalatoris as well. I think just, it's going to free him up. Don't know if he's going to win this week. I'd certainly would put him high on the list. But like I said, be on the lookout for him this summer.
Well, I mean, let's make a quick point here about this. I mean, I don't know if he's going to win this thing or not, but Sink got cut at the Genesis, got cut at the Players, 19th place finish in the Honda. He finished 12th last week at the Masters. He's leading the Heritage this week. It's 47-year-old Stuart Sink. Nobody in the golf world's talked about him at all. And this dude's playing fantastic golf. I don't know what happens the rest of the weekend, but this is pretty neat to follow, dude. He's almost 50 years old.
Oh yeah, and he was right there. He was actually in the group in front. We got hardly any Stuart Sink coverage during the Masters last week, but he was in the group right in front of Hideki on Saturday when we had the rain delay and the players came back. So he was hovering right in there in that same area in which Hideki was, which, by the way, to comment on Hideki last week in the Masters, that's where he won the golf tournament, is with that rain delay. He came out of the rain delay and played his last 8 holes 6 under, took advantage of the softer conditions. We talked at length last week about how Augusta was playing firm and fast when they did get a little bit of rain, and it played soft there for a couple hours. He was the only guy that took advantage and was able to build a 4-shot lead, which, as we saw, was crucial for him to hold on to. He tried to give it away. That's the first Masters champion to shoot over par on the back nine when they go on to win, since Tiger did that in 2005. But not often do you see a Masters champion on Sunday bogey 12, bogey 15, bogey 16, and bogey 18. So Hideki won that tournament. He won the green jacket on Saturday, and that furious charge that he was able to make to the top of the leaderboard. Really happy for him. From what it seems like, all the guys like him on tour. Very soft-spoken, but a very hard worker. And he's been out there grinding for a while. And I think it's huge for the game of golf that we have a Japanese-born player now that's a major champion. This is the second men's major championship from Asia. Y.E. Yang was the first Asian-born player to win a major in 2009 when he actually outdueled Tiger at Hazeltine in the PGA Championship. This is the first Japanese-born player to win, and we've had a lot of big names in the Japanese game. And with as big as golf is over there, this is going to really catapult the Masters and the PGA Tour and so on and so forth. So all in all, I hate a boring Masters Sunday. Xander Schauffele tried to make it interesting for us and really just let it all. It gave it all back on 16. I mean, we've been there. I've been there. One of the best quotes from Tom Watson is, "Those who criticize choking have never been in the situation to do so." And I'm not criticizing Xander, but he choked. That was a choke. And because it just kind of kept compounding on itself on the 16th hole there. So they gave us a little bit of excitement at the expense of Xander. But yeah, all in all, great Masters. And especially, for the likes of Stuart Sink. That guy's playing great golf. He's kept it going. He won at the end of last year and has now kept it rolling. So great to see for him.
Do have a video, Scott, before we run. This was actually, you sent this over last week, so we've got to make sure we get in our keep it in the short grass tip of the week, or whatever the hell we're calling this thing. What are we about to watch here?
So one of the big things, and we didn't touch on it last week, but a big theme at Augusta National is having to hit a draw off of the tee. That there are some key tee shots, number 2, number 5, number 9, number 10, number 13, that require big sweeping draws off of the tee. And it's well known and well documented that you have to have that shot in order to win at Augusta. So I kind of got to thinking about that. And a lot of people can't hit that shot because of their negative attack angle on the ball, hitting down on the ball. So this is just a couple tips on how to then hit the ball on more of the upswing to be able to roll the ball over from right to left with the driver.
It's Masters Week. It's the best week of the year. And one of the things that the Masters champion will do this week is hit nice tight draws off the tee on some crucial tee shots. So in order to hit a draw, we need to do several things. First, close our stance to our target, as you can see here. Now we want to make sure that we swing inside to create that hook spin, as you can see here, especially with the alignment rods along the ground. Another crucial step is that we need to tee the ball nice and high. We have to have an upwards angle of attack on the ball, as you can see here. If we have a downward strike into the ball, there is absolutely no way that we can hit a draw. A great drill for this is to put a head cover in front of your ball by about a foot or two. If you hit head cover, you're doing it wrong. If you miss the head cover, you're doing it right. Do that. You will send some bombs down the fairway, just like the upcoming Master Champ.
Love it.
Just like me.
Ready to go.
I love it. Yeah, I love that. Golly, everything's changed.
Yeah, just a couple key steps to be able to hit a draw. That's a really, really great drill. Using a head cover, you could use a pool noodle. I've seen people use like a sleeve of balls, put it in the box that the sleeve of balls comes in, putting that in front of the golf ball, but it really helps you to stay back on it, for lack of a better term, be able to hit up on it. And that's really how you are going to be able to launch the ball in the air and then roll it over like the guys on tour do.
StoneO'FerryGolf.com. That's where you can find Scott Glaze. He can teach you how to do that and so many other things. If your golf game sucks like mine, maybe you should head to StoneO'FerryGolf.com for some lessons or 6 and get yourself a little bit better. You can also book your tee times to go play at Stone O'Ferry. It is the most beautiful golf course that you could possibly imagine playing around here. It's out in the original Hollywood, South Carolina, on the banks of the Stono River. Again, StoneO'FerryGolf.com to book those tee times. And let me all give you a little advice. You want to play on the weekends? Book your tee times earlier in the week. Don't wait till Thursday or Friday because you're not going to be able to play. I already tried that. It doesn't work. StoneO'FerryGolf.com. Scott, we've had a great hair day. We had Mike Uva before you, and now you. This is tremendous stuff, man. Thank you so much for brushing your teeth, your hair, and everything, and for joining us on a Thursday afternoon.
Hey, my pleasure. I only do that on Thursdays for you guys. But
that's like my once a week I'll brush my teeth without a fight.
Come see
got my
us,
TV appearance today. Got to make sure that the pearlies are white. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I want to pick Zalatoris this week. I don't think he's going to do it this week. I think there are a couple stops he's going to have in his home state of Texas where he's going to win. I'm going to Russell Henley this week, just for the record.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
So,
I'm going Webster.
Yeah, Webb's another great pick, defending champ. So, come JB, come tee it up. I couldn't get you a tee time last weekend, but maybe we can work that out again here soon.
Yeah, I got my in-laws in town, so I'm going to come play every day until they leave.
There you go. I like it.
I'm just kidding. All right, let's see. I got to pick somebody this week, so I'm going to go with.
You may as well go DJ as much as you've been on him.
Nah. Somebody even who's having a worse week than that. I'm going to go Davis Love the third.
Hey, a veteran of the Heritage.
Yeah, two over through 3. Off to heart.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I'm with you, David. I told you. Well, what did I tell you, Darren? We looked at the top of the leaderboard a little while ago. If you're a third, you're having a good day. Charles Howell the third, Harold Varner the third. I'm going with Davis Love the third because he's going to turn it around. He'll be 4 under by the end of the afternoon.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Later. Scott Glaze with Stone O'Ferry, and we are out of time. Whew. Need a drink. bet you're going to the Dog and Duck, aren't you?
I'm heading to the airport right now to pick up my mom. She was in town for our daughter's birthday.
All right. Hey, Mom.
Little G turning 8 tomorrow.
Maybe she's watching us on the flight in.
Maybe.
Thanks to Cory McCartney, Mike Uva, Scott Glaze, and Mom. Thanks to Darren and all of you. We are returning tomorrow. I think we have Raphael back tomorrow. John Whittle joins us tomorrow as well. Forward to that. Gamecocks 7:30 tonight. Big one in Baton Rouge. We'll keep our eyes there, certainly. Have a thirsty and terrific Thursday afternoon. Get yourselves a cheesesteak at DB's. Get yourselves a drink at the Dog and Duck or wherever you choose to. Paddock and whiskey, James Allen. And we'll see you tomorrow at noon on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.